One moment, please.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, NBC. Hello, NBC. This is KGU in Honolulu, Hawaii. I am speaking from the roof of the Advertiser Publishing Company building. We have witnessed this morning a distant view, a great battle off Pearl Harbor, and a severe bombing of Pearl Harbor by enemy planes, undoubtedly Japanese. The city of Honolulu has also been attacked and considerable damage done. This battle has been going on for nearly 3 hours. One of the bombs dropped within 50 feet of KGU Tower. It is no joke, it is the real war. The public of Honolulu have been advised to keep in their homes and await results from the Army and Navy. There has been fierce fighting going on in the air and on the sea. The heavy shooting seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a moment, little interruption. We cannot estimate yet how much damage has been done, but it has been a very severe attack. The Navy and Army appear now to have the air and the sea under control.
Just a minute. May I interrupt just a second, please? This is the telephone company, the chief operator.
Yes?
We tried to get you on an emergency call. Could you tell me?
Well, we're talking to New York now. Please, 3, 4. Hello, NBC. Is all ready? 1, 2.
One moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're standing by for further word from Honolulu, and we expect to rejoin them in just a moment. However, here's a bulletin which has just come into the NBC newsroom in New York. Nomura, the Japanese ambassador, and Kurusu, the special Japanese envoy, were at the State Department at the time of the White House's announcement of the attacks on Hawaii. The two Japanese went to see Secretary of State Hull at 1:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and remained about 20 minutes. And now we take you to Washington.
Talking from the newsroom of the White House in Washington. We've just come back from Secretary Early's office with word that the President has called his cabinet for tonight at 8:30. Later you'll see the congressional leaders to discuss the unwarned bombing of Manila, of Honolulu, of the torpedoing of a cargo ship 1,300 miles from San Francisco, and distress signals from another ship only 600 miles from our own coast to the Japanese. This ship sending its distress signal and gave very clearly, as was interpreted here, the indication that the Japanese are busy with submarines within our own waters. Immediately that the President heard the news flash to him, he gave the orders already prepared, as he put it, for the defense of the nation. And then he gave out a statement. He told us it was obviously a part of a prepared statement of which you will hear more, for he is going to address Congress. He will give them a message. It may be a message asking for a declaration of war. And he said that this attack on Manila and Honolulu happened without warning, when both nations were at peace. And within a short time, within an hour of the time the Japanese ambassador Nomura and the special emissary, Kurusu, had gone to the State Department and handed a document to the Secretary of State with the Japanese reply to the Secretary's note of the 26th. And when the Secretary of State looked into that note, his face flushed with anger, and he said that he had never spoken an untruth to the Japanese, but when he read that document, he had never seen a document so full of untruth, such infamous falsehoods, he said, that he could not imagine that they would be spoken by any government or any nation. This reply came when the Japanese must have known what was happening. It is almost inconceivable, the surprise with which this attack has come. The men that are filling this room now, whose voices you probably hear behind me, have been called from every quarter of the city. They're the leading correspondents, and it came like a flash out of the blue. As I came down in the taxi cab, there was a broadcast which was being interrupted with this bulletin. The driver hardly believed what he said. I passed soldiers on the street. One of them said, "Yes, I know," laughed and went on. What I'm trying to explain is that we have hardly grasped the importance of the situation. We've hardly grasped what is actually coming. But tonight we're going to hear a good deal more. The President has called in his cabinet for 8:30. At 9 o'clock they're going to be joined by the leaders, the congressional leaders, the Speaker, Sam Rayburn, McCormick, Joe Martin on the Republican side, Bloom, Barkley, Hill, and then McNary, and the others he has recently called in when he has been discussing international matters. And it was stressed by Secretary Early that this meeting is rather a consideration of our international relations than actual military affairs, because the heads of the military committees were not called in. The President is assembling all the facts that he can, and as quickly as possible, he is going to transmit them in a message, a message containing full information of the situation to Congress. And undoubtedly, that will be the consideration of whether or not a formal war will be declared. Already Senator George has said that while this happened partly in expectation, nevertheless it was a surprise, and it means only one thing. He says it means an open declaration of war. And he added that it will put the United States on a war basis which may last for 2 or 3 years. Only yesterday, I sat with Emissary Kurusu in the Japanese embassy. He smiled, talked pleasantly, and explained that there was still hope, that the only trouble was that we mustn't discuss principles, that we must discuss the actual happenings. He said that after a nation was at war for 4 years, that they must be treated with a certain sympathy and tact, that there would be no difficulty in arranging the situation between Japan and the United States if we laid aside for the moment the discussion of general principles which could be agreed upon later and discussed the realistic question. Earlier, the Japanese viewpoint expressed to me was this. The Japanese people are 90% against war, the Japanese spokesman said to me. But, he said, the Japanese people, the majority of them, all of them, are willing to fight over the Chinese question. And then he went on to explain that China was a peculiar situation and must be so regarded. Nevertheless, the attention, the effect of these conversations have been such as to lead us to believe that, at least for the present, Japan was not to take any overt step, nor was she to give an answer which would be impossible for the United States to accept. It was a status quo. Nevertheless, there was a feeling here that Japan was merely putting off the evil day. And therefore, while the thing came as a shock, as all wars do, nevertheless, there was a feeling that at least there would be a period, perhaps 30 to 90 days, while we realized just exactly the direction that the trends were taking. I recall very well that I was sitting in the Reichsrundfunkhaus in Berlin when I carried the news that Hitler had launched his legions into Poland. And I must say that exactly the same feeling existed there among the populace, at least, that it came as a distinct shock. It came as a terrific blow to the people as a whole. And just as there I looked out the window and saw the people going up and down the street who had not had the news, so today when I hurried over to this newsroom with the rest of these men that are now crowding it, I had the same feeling.